Recently in Superman, he's been battling against Mr. Oz, and as we discovered recently, Mr. Oz is Jor-El, seemingly stolen from the planet Krypton moments before his death by a mysterious blue being. We all know it's Dr. Manhattan. Go read Doomsday Clock to figure that one out. Anyway, Superman decided that he's going to go back in time and verify if this is actually Jor-El, if he was stolen from the planet Krypton right before his death. Well, if you're going to time travel, who normally gets involved? Not the Flash. I know that was your answer. Booster Gold! Enjoy the story. Michael John Carter, also known as Booster Gold, finds himself in the Justice League Watchtower with a rather unique problem. He has to stop Superman from going back into the past, and oddly enough, he's late. The only method that Superman would have to go into the past would be to use the Flash's cosmic treadmill. So maybe if he's able to find out the exact time that Superman went to. But before Booster can even push the button, the Flash runs in and knocking Booster away, asking, "Are you serious? No one touches the cosmic treadmill unless I say so." Booster begins to fight back, trying to blast the Flash, stating that that's kind of a problem because someone already used it. Superman! Meanwhile, in the ripples of time, Superman flies through the time stream to the exact point where Krypton exploded to determine what Mr. Oz, his father, said was true. Moments before the explosion, an unknown power pulled him out of that place, the moment that Krypton was coming to its end. That was the story that he was told. That was why he became Mr. Oz, one of the greatest villains that Superman has fought recently. As Superman prepares to come out of the time stream to the very end of Krypton, he begins to see things. Different things that shouldn't have happened. The world around Superman begins to solidify, and as he looks around, he doesn't see the destruction that he once thought was going to happen. He sees Krypton alive and well. Back in the Watchtower, the fight between Booster and the Flash continues until Skeets, Booster's 25th century AI, overrides the Watchtower's defenses to turn on the Flash. Skeets says that these actions are regrettable, but our mission here is of the utmost urgency. While the Flash is knocked out, Booster begins loading up the cosmic treadmill into the time sphere, and Skeets tells him that they can pinpoint the exact moment that Superman has arrived in the time stream. Booster tells him, yeah, we're just gonna have to take this with us and make sure that there aren't any more screw-ups. Also, at this time at the Daily Planet, Perry calls Lois into his office to inform her that some news just came in. He knows that her and her father are somewhat estranged, given that her report exposed the military secrets in support of some dubious dictators. But sources have confirmed that Sam Lane has been captured leading a Black Ops mission against the corrupt government of La Gamba. However, there was an ambush, and now chatter indicates that there will be a public execution webcasted tomorrow. The team went in with no documents or papers, so the US has full deniability. The government claims that your father is a rogue officer gone mercenary. There won't be a rescue mission. Lois sighs, stating that she never even told her father about John yet. But she's going to do something about it. She can't let her father just die. Back over on Krypton, in the past, Superman sneaks around a space station, something that shouldn't exist, trying to piece together why Krypton is even here. Just then, he hears talks coming from around the corner, and as he turns, he looks to see something that he never expected. His father, Jor-El, and General Zod working together. Zod says they cannot rest until they find out whatever it was that infiltrated their city. And Jor-El agrees. Superman begins to reach out when suddenly he's blasted down and a voice tells him that he should just stick to the shadows before he blows everything. Superman looks up asking, "You?" And Booster tells him, "Yeah, me. Time's gone bad and we have to get out of here before you're spotted." Superman tells him, "Not until I find the answers that I came for." And Skeets says, "I believe it is too late for that. We've already been spotted." Two Kryptonian guards spot Booster and Superman and they begin to fire, one of which actually hits Superman in the shoulder. He shouts out in pain and then asks, "Wait, that actually hurt." And Booster tells him, "I kinda figured. Krypton has a red sun, meaning you're basically powerless, so you're putting us in trouble." Booster begins to run, telling Superman to follow him, but before he thinks he can lose them, he says, "Aw, crap!" And just then, a Kryptonian battlesuit begins to fire on the two of them, with Superman shouting, "This is all wrong. Zod and Jor-El working on space arcs? How is this happening?" Booster tells him, "It's happening because you traveled back in time. You may have broken time itself." As the battlesuit fires once more, Booster deflects the laser, but a second shot then goes by, causing an explosion behind. The blast knocks Booster into the wall, knocking him out, and Superman runs over, stating, "I may have lost my powers, but that doesn't mean I can't fight." He slides in on one of the blaster gloves, with Skeets telling him, "I have increased the blaster to maximum intensity." Superman fires a shot at the battlesuit, destroying it, and he tells Skeets, "Thank you." Shortly after, Booster gets back up and Superman asks if he's okay. Booster tells him, "Yeah, thanks to my force field. Best thing ever." The two of them escape to where Booster landed the time sphere, and Superman says that he can't leave it. He's too close to finding out the answers. He needs to know if what he was told is true. Is Mr. Oz his father? Booster tells him, well, you really don't have a choice. If the past has been altered, any answer you find may be meaningless. And Skeet says that may not be the case. Time has not necessarily been broken. Think of it as a mission that is already cracked and then fractured. A shard existing all on its own. Fortunately, there's still a soft time, though our present strengthens it by trying to build a bridge to the present time. Booster says, okay, the longer it exists, the likelier that it will harden into concrete reality. But the point is that we need to leave before your buddy Zod gets all mall cops on us. I know this isn't the destination that you wanted, but it's time to go. And Superman tells him, again, not until I get my answers. Even if this timeline is a mistake, it might give insight into. But before he can finish, an explosion goes off, throwing the two of them to the side, and Booster tells him, please, tell me that this isn't what I think it is. Superman looks up, stating, I'm afraid it is. Eradicators. And Booster sighs, this can't be good. Booster and Superman quickly get back on their feet to fight off the Eradicators, but Zod jumps off his upper station, punching into Superman, shouting, you are disgracing the House of L. As Booster and Superman struggle with their fight, Jor-El flies down, stating, well, this is rather perplexing. If the infiltrators were hoping to sabotage the evacuation program, why would they retreat to the Jewel Mountains? And what's more, why is one marked with the symbol of the House of L? Booster looks up to see Jor-El and says, if these two meet, it'll turn into a real snot storm. Superman's gonna hate me for this. He jets forward, tackling Superman, picking him up, and tells Skeets, get the Time Sphere ready for the Justice League satellite. As the two fly in, Booster shouts, launch! And Superman yells, we can't yet, not until I have the answers I came for. Booster tells him, no way, we're getting out of here. And with that, the Time Sphere lifts off and rockets back into the time stream. Superman asks, do you have any idea what you're doing? And Booster tells him, yeah, I do. As the two enter into the time stream, the future of what could have been begins to unfold. The Kryptonians manage to escape their doomed planet. They find a new world to live on, and Superman begins to witness all of the could-have-beens. His parents, Jor-El and Laura, growing old. He would have had a sister. He would have had a wife that wasn't Lois, and instead of having a son, he would have had a daughter. But as the possibilities pass by, the time sphere begins to malfunction, as Superman begins to shout, no, you destroyed everything! Booster struggles with the ship, stating that his job is to make sure that everything happens as it's supposed to happen. However, as he loses control of the time sphere, the two of them are thrown into the time stream and they come crashing into the ground. Before the time portal can close, there's one more thing that flies out. One of Zod's Eradicators. The Eradicator flies down, scanning the area, stating that they have determined the current time period. It is the 25th century. Planet Earth, City, Gotham. The Eradicator picks up Superman's body, scanning him, stating, your genetics confirm that you are likely of the House of L. However, you are not listed in the Eradicator database. Who are you? Superman begins to slowly wake up, stating that I'm a man who's happy to be home again, and my friends call me Superman. Without the red sun dampening his powers, he punches into the Eradicator, and Booster laughs, stating, make sure to remind me never to get on his bad side. Then Skeet states, we have a problem. We landed in Gotham, but we are not in the correct time period. Booster shouts, are you freaking kidding me? We're home? And Skeet says, correct. We are in Gotham City, 2462, shortly after you stole the time sphere. Superman continues to beat into the Eradicator and yells, Booster, we could have saved all those people. And Booster shoots back into the Eradicator, telling him, do you not get that there are ramifications that could change throughout the multiverse? Superman then asks, what's the problem with us being in your own time? And Skeets tells him, because Michael is a public disgrace here. He is currently the Bureau's most wanted person. The Eradicator gets up and fires a blast into Superman, throwing him into a tree, and Booster quickly tackles into him to stop it. He goes on, stating, I don't like interfering with your life, but I couldn't let you change history. Superman's eyes glow red with rage, and he shouts, all I wanted to do was get an answer to a simple question. Did Jor-El survive? He releases his heat vision blast into the Eradicator, stating, I will go back and find out what I need to know. Skeets tells him, actually, we cannot. The time sphere suffered significant damage to its power conduits. Superman asks, can they be repaired? And Booster tells him, well, yeah, provided we can, liberate some new ones. Superman looks at Booster, charging another heat vision blast, telling him, then we'll steal them. As the two go back to fighting the Eradicator, there's another blast, but this time with white light, destroying everything in the surrounding area. Skeet says that the security forces are closing in. We must leave now, Superman. And Superman says, what about Krypton? Skeet tells him, no longer an option. Retrieve the time sphere and the Eradicator and follow me immediately. Superman then asks, what about Booster? And Skeet says, Booster is of this era. We shall determine a way to rescue him later. If the time sphere is taken, then all will be lost. Superman picks up Eradicator's body and puts it in the time sphere, stating, seems wrong to run and leave Booster to the security forces. Meanwhile, in the present, Lois sneaks into the airfield base to catch a ride over to Logamba to rescue her father. The thing that she doesn't know, though, is that John has snuck in right behind her. And back in the future, Booster slowly begins to wake up as he hears a voice telling him to get up. His vision clears and he finds himself in a prison cell, and his cellmate is his father, Jonar. He begins to scoot away, and Jonar tells him, "Look how stupid these guards are for putting us together. Now get that fancy suit working and bust us out of here." Booster shouts, "No way! If I'm in prison, then good. I'll rot here forever before helping you break out." Before the two of them can argue any further, a laser beam shoots by, breaking them up, and Broderick says that it's time to get to the bottom of this. Why steal a time machine? Ensure your betters were winners? Invest in the stock market? And Booster shouts, "I'll give you whatever you want as long as you lock my father up too." But Broderick points his gun at Michael, stating, "Well, you're the one I wanted, so." Jonar then tackles into Broderick, telling him then he'll be happy that Booster's the only one that he's getting. And Booster asks, "Are you nuts? We're not breaking out." And Jonar stops him, telling him, "Not us, only you. Once you disappear, all those debtors will come after my son." Jonar presses the button to lock Booster back up, and Booster asks, "Do you really think this is the right thing to do?" And right behind him, Superman appears, flicking his index finger into Jonar, slamming him into a wall. He pushes the control panel for the cell and tells Booster, "Well, I may not have condoned your actions. I can understand them. The world is better off with you free and being a hero, and right now, we need to get things working again." Later, as Superman returns with the needed parts to fix the time sphere, he sighs, stating that he can't believe that he broke into a physics lab because a robot talked him into it. Once the repairs are made, Booster and Superman hop back into the time sphere, and they begin heading back into Krypton's past. However, the Eradicator drones from before begin to light up, and it manages to fire off a shot into the control panel. Booster shouts, "Come on!" The blast fired the controls, and now we're dropping out of the time stream again. And as the time sphere is thrown back into the time stream, it crash lands, and Booster asks, "Now where are we?" Superman looks up, stating, "Wherever we are, whenever we are, we got trouble." And before them, a small drone flies up from behind a giant statue of Zod, telling the two, "Welcome. If you wish to survive, then you all must kneel before Zod." After a few seconds, the drone repeats and says, "You are commanded to kneel to prove to New Krypton that you are loyal subjects to Zod." Booster begins to state to Superman, "We might not be on Earth anymore, or maybe even in the present." And Skeets tells him that he's still trying to pinpoint the time and location. The drone tells the two of them, "Kneel, or you shall be reported." So Booster blasts the drone, telling it, "Report this!" Superman looks back at Skeets and asks, "Where are we?" And Skeets says that it would seem that we are around the planet of Jikel. Relative to your present, we have landed several decades into the future. Data indicates that General Zod conquered this world and took it for his own. Suddenly, a voice calls out that the missing Sentry drone has been located. Assailants identified, and Booster begins to yell, "Oh crap!" As the two look up, they see Zod's Eradicators flying in, telling them, "Identify yourselves and surrender." And Booster says, "They may have just jumped through time like us." Skeets tells him, "Negative. Alloys used to construct them were fashioned within the last few months." And Booster says, "Whatever, old or new, we're taking them down." As the Eradicator blasts into Booster, Superman charges in, slamming into the Eradicator, tearing him apart, stating, "You are nothing but scrap. I've had enough of this. It is time to go." And Skeets tells him that is impossible. The Time Sphere's power conduits are burned and fractured. However, the Eradicator android that we broke may be able to replace the ship's parts. Superman looks back at the Zod statue, stating, "If Zod is here, then we have to be ready to fight." And Booster says, "Our goal's to avoid him, remember?" Meanwhile, back in the present, Lois makes landfall in Longamba and sneaks through the streets to meet with her contact, Borhana, the woman that will get her into the camp where her father is being held. After getting into a disguise so that she can walk through the streets, John watches from atop of a building, making sure that she has no trouble with the armed guards. However, back on New Krypton in the future, Booster and Superman's plan is to use the android that they just defeated and use it to sneak into the facility where the other Eradicators are being held. While the two of them are brought up, one of the androids scans them and asks, "Why isn't our brother responding? Something isn't right." Superman's eyes begin to glow red and he tells them, "There's something wrong here. For you!" And he rips through the two guards with his heat vision. As the two make their way inside of the foundry, a voice asks if they truly believed that no one would recognize them. How simple-minded, Kal-El! Just then the Eradicator swoops by and goes on, stating, "I am puzzled by your arrival, though, for you do not appear to have aged since our last meeting decades ago." Eradicator punches into Superman and then grabs Booster, telling them, "That would mean that you are time travelers. Your ship would be most coveted of the weapons." Skeets begins to move towards the android that they had to attack, and the Eradicator blasts into it. Superman jumps up, rocketing himself back into the Eradicator's back, shouting to Booster that they need to hurry and find the Time Sphere parts. Booster begins running and then asks, "Isn't it strange how the Eradicator mentions we? Who could he be referring to?" Suddenly, a shadow shoots by, punching Booster, telling him, "If you are wondering that, wonder no further." The shadow runs by, grabbing Superman, blasting him into the ground, asking, "Do you remember tormenting a child? Of course not, you wouldn't care." Superman looks up, asking, Zod? And the Shadow tells him, no, his son, Lord Zod, your judge, jury, and executioner. Superman jumps up from the ground, punching into Lore, and Booster asks, there's a junior Zod? Are there any more surprises like an eccentric aunt from Apocalypse, crazy Dominator uncle? Superman tells him, dump the humor and focus on Eradicator. But Eradicator tells him, I will find your time machine and put it to good use. And Booster shouts, never! Eradicator punches into Booster, stating a time traveler should know that there is no such thing as never. Not when things can be altered. Lord picks himself back up and charges back towards Superman, and as his eyes light up, Superman responds by charging his own heat vision. They both release their blasts into each other, creating a power struggle that Superman walks into. Lord shouts, I will see you kneel! And Superman gets closer as he increases the power of his blast to overtake Lore. But suddenly there's a loud kakam as he's thrown into the wall. Superman stands over Lore, telling him, that was too easy. You have a lot to learn. But then Superman hears someone say, L, you have crossed the line. Before Superman has a chance to react, another Shadow appears, grabbing him by the cape and throwing him. Eradicator focuses a blast to knock him down, and the Shadows begin to walk over to Superman and Booster's body, stating, I have dreamed of this. Zod stands above the two of them, yelling, I will see you defeated, humiliated, left weak and helpless by the might and power of Zod. Over in the present, though, Lois sneaks into the compound where her father's being held. And as she gets down to the lower levels, a guard spots her, calling out, intruder! But before the guard can fire his weapon, it begins to burn the guard's hand, and Lois asks, Superman? Perfect time! Lois jumps on the guard, using the butt of her gun to knock him out, and another voice tells her, I thought you might need help. And I was right! Lois looks up and sees John, but before she can start to yell at him, she says, we're gonna talk about this later. Right now, we need to find your grandfather. After a short run down the halls, Lois finds the cell where Sam is and tries to open the door but finds it locked. John looks at the lock and then he pushes his hand through the mechanism. Lois pushes the door open and begins to untie Sam Lane, and he asks, why? And Lois tells him it's a long story. Then John says, hi, Granddad. And Sam Lane says, you brought a child here? And Lois picks him up, stating, I'll explain later. Right now, we need to go. Meanwhile, back on New Krypton, Zod, along with Ursa and Lore, hold a public execution, telling the people of his world that this man is the one who once was supposed to save them but failed. Booster, who is also chained, looks up along with Superman and says, so, no chance of talking our way out of this one, huh? Because this position is really uncomfortable. Skeets flies by, telling Zod, I understand Krypton's past, but Zod turns back shouting, do not presume to tell me about Krypton! And he shoots a blast, destroying Skeets. Booster shouts, Skeets! But Lord jumps down, stomping on the remains of Skeets, stating, I will stomp your heart next, just like your toy. While Lord takes his time punching into Superman's gut, Zod shouts that they will surround them and destroy them once and for all. Zod, Ursa, Lore, and Eradicator all take positions around Superman and Booster, and they begin to release a wave of heat vision blasts. All Booster can do is try to hold them back as long as he can with his shield system. However, back in the present day, Lois, Sam, and John begin to make their escape through the woods when suddenly they pass a turret. One of the guards' positions says that he has eyes on the targets, and he opens fire. The bullets from the turret shred through the trees and fire straight into the three of them. And the second guard tells the first to hold his fire. After all, you can only kill them once. Back on New Krypton, the concentrated blast from everyone begins to wear down Michael's force field. However, one of the Eradicator androids stands back up, and Skeet says, override successful. And he grabs Lore by the hair. Skeets takes Lore's blast and he directs it at Zod, throwing Lore into the Eradicator, telling Michael that they must act quickly. They remain vastly outnumbered. Superman looks up from the bindings, asking, is that? And Skeets tells him the override process took longer than expected. I am sorry. As Skeets frees the two of them, Superman rockets himself to Lore before he can fire out another blast, slamming him into the building. Superman then begins to punch him repeatedly until Zod shoots by, tackling him off, shouting, get your hands off my son! Zod throws Superman into a nearby building, and just as he gets ready to punch him, he says, I've waited years for this. Then there's a loud crack as Superman punches first, telling Zod, so have I. However, Ursa calls out to Zod, and both her and Lore grab Superman by the arms and begin pulling, trying to rip his arms off. Eradicator, though, begins to get up, stating that they have seen their best effort. Victory is ours for the taking. And just then, a series of voice asks, are you sure? Because your army is mine. As the Eradicator army falls under the control of Skeets, Eradicator shouts, impossible! Back with Superman, Ursa begins to choke Superman, telling Lore to hurry up and rip his heart out. And Laura says, gladly. Suddenly, Lore hears Booster's voice telling him, if you do that, Daddy dies. Everyone looks back to see Booster going on, stating that the kryptonite that we're using really doesn't affect me, but it makes Zod here go into the fetal position. Lore asks, what of it? You can do whatever you want with my father. Removing the old buzzard would do me a favor. As Laura begins to reach for Superman's chest, Ursa screams no, allowing Superman enough freedom to break free and attack Laura. Booster shouts to Skeets that it's time to get going. How's the time sphere? And that's when the time sphere flies by, with Skeets stating that he managed to use the parts from the androids to repair what they needed. And Booster says, "You cannibalized yourself? Gross!" As the two quickly jump into the time sphere, Skeets quickly rockets the three of them back into the time stream. And once there, Booster says, "Finally, we can get home!" And Superman stops him, telling him, "Not yet. I went into the past for a reason, Michael." Michael looks at him and says, "Think about it. Do you really want to watch an entire planet die along with one of your parents?" Superman tells him, "Of course not. But it's the only way that I will know for sure. But don't worry, I won't be tempted to change it." Booster sighs, tells him, "Skeets, you heard the man. Take us back." And Skeets says, "As you wish." The time sphere pops out of the time stream seconds before Krypton's destruction to the exact point where Superman as a baby passed by them. Skeets takes them down to Jor-El's lab, and it's everything that Superman hoped wasn't true. At the very last second before dying, a blue light hit Jor-El was taking, leaving his mother to die alone. He, in fact, became Mr. Oz. Skeets pulls them back into the time stream, and they begin to travel back to the present. And Superman asks Booster, "Have you ever thought about it? Have you cracked and given in?" Booster tells him, "Nuh-uh. That's a hard red line to never be crossed. We start changing things, and we could be tempted to alter other things. It's my job to stop those things." Superman sighs and tells him, "I really miss my wife and son." And Booster shouts, "That's a reunion I can do. Take us home, Alfred." And Skeets tells Michael, "Please do not refer to me as Alfred." And Michael says, "It's not like I'm gonna call you Jarvis. That's a whole other timeline." As the time sphere drops into the present, Skeets says, "Allow me a moment to process where Miss Lane's exact location is. Oh dear." Superman asks, "What's wrong?" And Skeets tells him, "Lois and Jonathan went to Longamba, and I fear that..." With that, without even finishing the sentence, Superman rockets out of the ship and straight down to the Earth. Booster says, "What do you mean you fear? What's wrong, Skeets?" And Skeets tells him, "Lois and Samuel Lane are both dead, savagely gunned down less than 80 seconds ago by Longamba forces." Michael pauses and shouts, "We are going back 95 seconds before they die!" And Skeets responds, "You couldn't possibly be thinking of..." Booster Gold hits the button stating, "You know exactly what I'm doing. Chronal drive engaged." Suddenly the time sphere disappears and reappears over Longamba. Booster flies out, stating, "The consequences are going to be mine to face. Superman just witnessed his entire world die. And right now, I'm not about to let him watch it again." Meanwhile, back in the woods, seconds before Lois and Sam's death, Booster Gold attacks the two guardsmen, causing a disturbance in time. Instead of Superman flying down to find them slain, he comes in just in time to stop a mortar from going off, destroying the helicopter. Later, back in the Watchtower, the Flash asks if he's really sticking up for him. And Superman says that Booster only took it because he used it first. And Booster says, "Yeah, couldn't make things much worse." The Flash shouts, "I would never use it to make things worse." And Booster says, "Really? You would never?" And the Flash tells him, "That's a low blow." As Michael and Skeets get back into the time sphere, Michael says they need to hurry back up to the center. No offense, but he can't stand looking at him while he's a deranged cyborg. And Skeets asks, "Will you never tell Superman what you did on his behalf?" And Michael responds with, "And upset the delicate nature of Time's finest team? Never. So, shall we go face the music?" And Skeets asks, "Music?" And Michael tells him, punishment, because I am so gonna get it. There you have it. The truth about Booster Gold, willing to change time to save Superman. And it's a good thing he did, because honestly, if Lois Lane died, we know what happens. It's called injustice, and it's not good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you're enjoying the celebration that is Superman with the I can't say it, but you know what I'm saying, 1000th issue of Action Comics. Don't forget to check out our Superman playlist to see other great Superman storylines, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date in your favorite comics.